So, yeah, 3 friends here today. Presentation on there, over here. Got a sweet tripod. So today we'll be talking about nutrition for sports performance. So first off, a lot of people are uneducated about really what macronutrients and micronutrients are. So a study done through the University of South Carolina sent questionnaires out to athletes and coaches to see how knowledgeable they were about their nutrition. The questionnaire consisted of macronutrients, your proteins, fats, and carbs, the micronutrients, all the minerals and vitamins, and water and supplements. These are the numbers of the athletes, coaches, athletic trainers, sports certified specialists that were asked. So, like out of 100% on the questionnaire, the participants, they all did pretty good. The participants had an average of 68.5%. The athletic trainers did better, and obviously the sports certified specialists did the best out of all of them. Only 9% of the athletes surveyed had adequate knowledge of nutrition. The other thing about that questionnaire and study was the biggest areas that they got docked on were the macro and micronutrients, but almost all of them had adequate knowledge about water intake, and they were more knowledgeable about supplements. So the water and the supplements, most of the athletes knew more about that than they did macronutrients. So another thing is food is a motivator. This is seen, when you go to the store, you never want to go to the store hungry.
Emails, documents, and text messages have you already sent today?
I don't know why it's not there. This is a clip from The Office. Pretzel Day. I don't know why it is. Basically, they announced that there's free pretzels in the lobby, and then Stanley and Michael sprint out. Food can motivate us to do lots of things, for good or for bad. So what are the macronutrients that were talked about in the questionnaire? Macronutrients refer to the 3 basic components of every diet: carbs, fats, and protein, and a bonus worth of water. Carbs are the main source of fuel for our body, and consist of a few different things. You have your simple carbs, which is like your soda, candy, frosting. It's usually sugars or sweeteners, and it just runs through the body really fast and spikes your blood sugar and your insulin levels. The complex carbs are found in like your bread, cereals, pastas, rice, beans, peas, starchy vegetables, potatoes. In complex carbs, there's 2 subcategories. You have your soluble fiber, which attracts water and turns to gel. It makes you feel full for longer. So like your oatmeal, that's one of the best examples of soluble fiber. Insoluble fiber is stuff with like vegetables with the crunch. That's an easy way to think of it. So like vegetables, whole grains, it is the opposite of the soluble fiber and helps speed up the digestion process. Fats. Fats are the other source of fuel for our body, and there's a few different types of fats. You have your monosaturated fats. These can include things like canola oil, peanut butter, some nuts and seeds. Your polyunsaturated fats, which is corn oil, soybean oil, flaxseed oil, can also be found in fatty fish. And underneath polyunsaturated fats, you have your unsaturated fats, which also contain omega-3, omega-6, fatty acids, which is a big topic right now in the nutrition industry, and a lot of people are buying supplements. You'll hear people go buy supplements of omega-3s or omega-6s from the store. and they are like the best fatty acid you can get because they help prevent and manage heart disease by lowering your blood pressure, reduce inflammation around joints. And then the two other categories of fats, which you probably think of when you hear like the macronutrient of fat, which is saturated fats. Surprisingly, it's found in red meats, milk products, but then a lot of regular cheese, pizza, grain-based, dairy desserts. Saturated fats are okay for the body in moderation, but not as healthy as the first two, mono unsaturated, poly unsaturated. And then you have your trans fats, which is partially hydrogenated oils. So like if you go to buy something and it says 0 grams of trans fat, the company, if it's like under 0.5 grams a serving, then they don't have to put, then they can put 0 on the label. But if you see on the label it says partially hydrogenated oils, then that means there is trans fats in it, even if it says 0 grams. Trans fats are unsaturated fats, but it goes through a chemical reaction which flips one of the hydrogens, and it's found in basically all fried products, donuts. It's the worst type of fat for you. Protein, without protein your body wouldn't be able to break down any of the other 2 macronutrients, because the proteins, once you eat them, you intake those amino acids, which then are broken down into your amino acid pool throughout your body, and the amino acids are just floating around there until your body uses them to make other enzymes, lots of different functions. They're used for like muscle tissue, your hair, nails, pretty much making anything the body needs. That's what the protein's used for. And the biggest thing about that is the protein makes the enzymes to break down your carbs and fats. So without adequate protein, then you're not really getting much out of the other macros. And with protein, you can find good sources of lean protein in seafood, lean meats, eggs, beans, peas. Protein can also be found in dairy products. And in protein, you have your different amino acids. And so there's 9 essential amino acids and 11 non-essential. The body can make all the 11 non-essential, but the other 9 you have to intake through your diet. And where like vegetarians find this hard is there's certain foods like vegan products don't contain all 9. They'll contain like 8 of the essential amino acids. But if you combine it with the other food like beans and rice, they complement each other with the missing amino acid the other one needs to make a complete protein. So that's why vegetarians have to combine different foods like nuts on salad, beans on rice to make a complete protein. So they get all 9 to make the different functions. So how much of each macro should we eat? Roughly 50% carbs, 30% fat, 20% protein. The fat and the protein can be flip-flopped, 20 to 30, depending on each person. It varies per person, especially but this is just like a rough estimate of what's recommended. And then of course for water, it's recommended 11 to 15 cups a day. So going back to nutrition and sports performance, how can young athletes use food to aid their performance? So a study was done by the University of Palermo, and they gave 17 young girls different snacks before their gymnastics practice, and took saliva samples and gave them questionnaires to conclude if the snacks were beneficial to increase their energy and productiveness in the athletes. After 3 weeks, the girls who took the carb snack felt like they had more energy and were able to focus, while the other girls who had the snack higher in protein felt sluggish and more fatigued. So the pre-workout snack. The body uses carbs as its main source of energy. So eating a snack that has a decent amount of simple carbs will absorb quickly and turn into monosaccharides, glucose, fructose, and galactose, resulting in more energy and more mental clarity. A research article found in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition looks at every single type of carbohydrate and how the body reacts to them. And they concluded that food-based guidelines promoting the consumption of fruits and vegetables and whole grains are some of the most effective public health messages. So, for sports performance in young athletes, a big question is lifting for children safe? And this research study, not many people had done a study yet, like actually taking young kids and putting them through a long test cycle to see how their body would react to strength training. And so this study, or a study done by the National Strength and Conditioning Association, found 88% of people surveyed believed that 1 rep max strength testing in children was inappropriate. Why is this study important? I mean, a lot of youth nowadays are playing football, soccer, rugby, lacrosse, very high impact sports. So the researchers believed that the forces children were encountering in football and different sports was more or equivalent to 1 rep max strength training. And they believed 1 rep max strength training could give young children the opportunity to learn proper form and technique and prepare their bodies for those high impact sports. Methods, so subjects were recruited from a community-based fitness center, 32 girls, 64 boys, between the ages of 6 and 12 volunteered to participate in the study. All subjects were screened beforehand for any medical illnesses or injuries. The subjects were recruited from a community-based fitness center. So the subjects sat through an instructional class and had any questions they had answered. And then they took all the kids through a 10-minute warm-up consisting of light to moderate intensity stretching preceded all tests. So the 1 rep max strength training tests weren't necessarily done with like a barbell because that would take a long time to teach these kids like good enough technique to safely 1 rep max. And they didn't have that amount of time frame to be able to take these kids through the progression of learning barbell movements. So they used the standing chest press, leg extension, or the seated chest press and leg press. The subjects used plate-loaded machines since none of the children had any background experience or knowledge of weight training. The machines were identical to the adult versions, commonly known, but scaled down to better fit the size of the kids. Before going for a 1 rep max, subjects performed 6 reps with lighter weight, 3 reps with a heavier load, and then a series of single repetitions increasing in load. The weight for each load was increased approximately by 1.1 or 5 pounds. On the average, the upper and lower body 1 rep max measures were determined within 7 to 11 trials of increasing through weight until they found out 1 rep. Throughout all the testing procedures, a NSCA certified strength and conditioning specialist surveyed the tests, and an instructor to subject ratio of 1-to-1 was maintained the whole time to make sure the children were safe. Each test administrator had previous experience working with boys and girls in the weight room and understood the physical and psychological uniqueness of children. The results for the leg press for the girls was 132 pounds, give or take 43 pounds, depending on the girl. For the boys, they actually were pretty much the same as the girls on the leg press. 130 pounds to 42 pounds, which is funny. Leg extension, 42 pounds, give or take 16 for the girls, 39 for the guys, give or take 17. For the standing chest press, this is about the only one the guys came in clutch with, and the girls 52 pounds, give or take 12.5. The guys averaged 54 pounds, give or take 16.9 or 17 pounds. Seated chest press, girls average 48.4 pounds, give or take 14.3. For the guys, 45.1, give or take 12.9 pounds. So no injuries occurred throughout that whole testing process, and the testing procedures were well tolerated by the subjects. No complaints of severe muscle soreness were reported. 58% of the subjects participated regularly in organized school sports, mostly soccer, swimming. If qualified instructors teach children how to perform each exercise correctly using an appropriate load, it seems that the risk of an epiphyseal plate fracture is minimal, allowing children to train safely. That was the whole controversy with strength testing in children causing like growth defects and like stunting children's growth. That's what it's talking about with the epiphyseal plate. That's where the discussion. The parents reported that their kids enjoyed participating in the study. Strength training can help kids improve muscle imbalances, provide motivation, boost self-esteem, teach children good work ethics. Further, because weight machines were used for all the tests in the study, the safety and reliability of 1 rep max testing in children using other modes of testing, dumbbells, barbells, remain uncertain. This study is very insightful and provides families with a peace of mind. Children can lift weights pretty much like any sport, as long as they have good supervision and mentors, then they'll be completely fine without sustaining injury. There are the references. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully this recorded.